Hi, everybody. We're going to get started right now. I know I usually try to hang on for a few minutes for people that are texting me or I'm on my way. Listen, if you are not here right now, you will just have to catch the replay. We're going to go ahead and get started because there's a lot to cover. Trust is a very complex topic sometimes, right? And so I really want to take my time with it. So I just give everybody some grace, even if it means you have to catch the first part, um, the replay. All right. Okay. So if you are new here, and I have quite a few people that are either just first timers or maybe they're using a guest pass. Maybe you got a guest pass from me and a guest pass from somebody else. But anyway, we're going to talk about asset insulation at its finest. And because I have so many new invites, I want to give you the backstory, okay? So if you're not already a part of Fam Fave, for all the lurkers, go to whatsameanlaw.com/fam fave. Or go just text I'm in. That's it. Text I'm in 646-859-3915. Either of those will work. All right, so I just want to say happy Friday. Happy Friday. You can see I'm in a good mood. That's because we're in the Business Boost Roundup, and we're going to talk about that. But happy Friday. Make sure you use the chat if you have any comments, you have any questions. Even if you are not my client and you're new, put your questions in the chat anyway, and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, so like I said, we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to get started right now talking about trust as asset insulation, asset insulation at its finest. Now, last week we talked about intellectual property and we broke down the fact that intellectual property is an asset. So, as we're talking about asset today, please do be considering your intellectual property as well. Okay? Now, I'm sorry, trying to co-pilot this by myself. What is going on? Got it. Okay, good. All right, so I have to go through this for those of you that have just been introduced to me, right? I'm going to give you my promise. My promise is that today you will find out why establishing a trust is crucial for every serious businesswoman, what type of trust fits your business and your lifestyle, right? Lifestyle. And I like to put that in there because some of us have multiple businesses and the businesses have multiple personalities, but your lifestyle is consistent, right? So I want to focus on that as well. And then we're going to talk about when is the right time to fund your trust. All right, so here's the agenda. For the new folks, I'm going to do a little intro, who is Zen. Then we're going to dive right into trust, types of trust. And then we're going to talk about choosing the trust, right? When I get to that part, y'all will see why I'm saying there's a lot going on in, in this webinar today. And then talking about creating a trust and then opportunities to work together. I never like to end a webinar without giving you an opportunity to do work with me, do more work with me, or just say, hey, right? So 646-859-3915. All right, so who is Zen? I am a business strategy attorney. Right? When you think of business and all the various types of businesses, what they have in common is they all must have tax strategy. They all must have a wealth planning strategy. And I say wealth because I'm talking to business women. But if you want to speak specifically for businesses, then you want to think about revenue generating plan, right? You cannot be a business strategy attorney without touching on asset insulation, which also includes intellectual property. And as you'll see today, I do a little bit more than touch on it. But ultimately, my goal is to bring the Zen, quite literally, no pun intended, into the heart of your business, really into the heart of your business. And those of you that have been working with me and the Business Boost Next 90, we're talking every week, sometimes twice a week, maybe three times a week. We are texting almost on the daily. right? So I'm talking about getting into the heart of your business and being your strategic partner. All right. So Dream Lawyers, I guess I'm talking more about Zen. Dream Lawyers is an initiative that I created and fell in love with, particularly in 2025. Dream Lawyers has been in operation for many years, but 2025, I really fell in love with her, with you all, because I went from just, I said I was gonna stop saying just, I went from serving women, providing legal service, providing strategy, to actually adding some trainings in there, some teaching components, some coaching, everything. So that's why 2025 has been really great for Dream Lawyers. Dream Lawyers is all about creating, protecting, and growth strategies for women entrepreneurs and family legacy enterprises, okay? Creation, y'all on the daily are creating assets. You may not even realize it. If you missed last week's session on intellectual property, right? That section of that session where we went in on trade secrets, a lot of times we don't realize what we're creating because we're creating all the time. And then once we're creating, we may not be thinking about protecting, right? So that's what I love. And that's what we've been doing all year. Um, and I'm a little silly. You got to keep it light. Like I really believe that in our hearts, we are all still 5 years old. There's a sweet innocence there, and if we can stay close to that, if I can stay close to that, my service for you is better. So that keeps me optimistic, right? And so welcome to the Business Boost Roundup. Now, y'all, y'all that have been rocking with me all year, you know what this slide means. It is the time for me to share my mug of the day. I look at it, you may not think much of this mug, but there's a story. I was at IKEA, and I don't know about you, if you like IKEA or not, but for me, every time I go into that store, I head straight for the as is department. I sure do. I like it because the as is usually has intricate things already put together. So I don't know how you all do with what is that wrench that's shaped like an L and all these pieces, furniture, bookcases, everything, trying to put stuff together. As is usually has them already put together. Additionally, as is, oh, my baby here. Oh, my baby here. My first ficus was in the IKEA as is, yet holding on. But I just looked and saw, yeah. So that's my proof. So I'm not making it up. I head straight to the as is. This baby wasn't as is because they didn't think she was gonna make it through the winter. And I got her in the winter. And ficus are persnickety or, so the fact that I was gonna take her out in the cold weather, oh, the plant's gonna die, she was already holding on. But we're here to talk about the mugs, right? So I also saw two of these. And I touched it and I loved the texture. But what drew me to it, I don't even know why it was there. Nothing was broken. Wasn't in a box. But there were these two mugs sitting there and it was the perfect color because at that time I was falling in love with this color, which is also when I got this chair. And so I loved it because I said, oh, that's gonna look amazing on my terrace when I sit with my sister. So I got that, got a matching rug, and I put that out on my terrace. And if you live in New York City, our backyard is Central Park or Riverside. And so to have a terrace is just like golden, right? Because now you get your trees out there, you can set your little umbrella, whatever, whatever. So this was my first personal terrace. I have lived in buildings with, the common area, but this is my first one. And so I set this out there on my table with the umbrella. I didn't even invite a friend over, but it was the decor. It was the decor. Mm. So that's my mug. Like I said, you never know what stories go with a mug. It looks, it doesn't even have any mantra on it or, text, but I remember that year. And I remember the color and my baby. I love plants. All right, so that's the story. The mug of the day story. It's so funny when I start talking about these, I don't even know what's going to come up. I just like, oh, there's that mug. All right, so welcome to Business Boost Roundup. If you were wondering what Business Boost Roundup is, basically, we are coming to the end of the year, and this is the last week of Business Boost. Um, and so what I decided to do is a couple of sessions called Business Boost Roundup, where I would go through each element of Business Boost for people that just needed to, a little reminder, or maybe if they're in Business Boost struggling, not really, because y'all talk to me all the time, but some people are doing Business Boost on their own. And this is helpful to them that we do this every Friday. All right. So this is the Business Boost Roundup series. Like I said, last week we did intellectual property. Today we're doing trusts. And I really want y'all to focus for the holidays. I did see a bump, an energetic bump, um, when we came to Thanksgiving. And I don't know if it was me or if it was y'all or connection. I feel like I was supposed to meet with, yeah, I was supposed to meet with somebody on Friday, and I was having the Friday after Thanksgiving, transportation challenges, stormy weather, and I ended up not being able to meet with them. And I just can just go down the list. Like the universe had a bump for us. And so that's why I said, okay, we need so little tools, little tips to get through the holidays and remind ourselves because the next time I'll see some of you, at least in person, will be in 2026. Will be in the entire new year. So that's what Business Boost Roundup is all about. Just giving you some tools to get through these holidays. And and for like I said, for those of you that are not in Business Boost, you will not get lost today. I'm gonna break it down. We're in the embodiment era of Business Boost, which is that very last phase, right? Embodiment means I'm walking it out, one foot in front of the other, right? That's what embodiment is about. And so this is the embodiment era, and I want you to own it, right? I want you to own it. And so let's get into what Business Boost, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to do a quick summary, right? It is an opportunity to work with me for an entire season. It says here receive 4 consecutive private weekly consultations, but y'all know we didn't stop at 4. We have met every week, like I said, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times, depending on what was needed. But I hope and I believe, based on the results that I'm seeing, that you got what you needed, and you're going to continue to get what you need in terms of tools, support to help you accomplish your goals. Um, and this is where we are, right? So at the beginning, weeks 1 through 3, we were doing the audit, the blueprint, the pause, all of that's going on. And we really extended that to the first 4 weeks. And so the audit just gave you an opportunity to decide, okay, what do I need to get done in this last quarter of the year so I can say 2025 was successful? That's really what that first phase is about, and getting clear on that, right? And then the next phase is the pounce, right? Because now you know what you're clear on, you're ready to go. You're implementing the strategies that we've been talking about for 4 weeks, right? So the next section is just go, right? And then week 7 to 9, check in and embodiment. That's where, like I said, you decided what you wanted to do. You've got clarity on that. You got the tools to accomplish it. And now you're ready to embody it. Embodiment in itself is its own module because sometimes, all the time, we'll decide what's good for us, and then our lower self will try to hold us back in comfort or fear, all the things, right? So embodiment is huge. So we take embodiment from week 7 all the way to the end. And so we're in the embodiment era, but we're also going into refinement as well as celebration this week. So, what's up with your next 90? How are you doing in your Q4 goals? So let's talk about it. I'll go first, and you can drop something in the chat if you want to. And if you don't, I'm gonna talk about you. Okay, so for me, if y'all go back to the pause session, and those of you that are not have not been part of this journey, just send a text to me, and I'll get that recording to you because you're here today. But I had to face some things because we're all going through this journey. What do I want for my business? Okay, I'm getting clear. What do I want this last quarter to be like? Okay, this is what I want. I want to take all the relationships that I've created in my business throughout the year and develop a community of women that I can just love on and support with my whole heart, right? And so when we got to the pause, that's when you're feeling like, okay, I created this thing. I know what I need to do. Now I'm going to pause just for a minute to enjoy the clarity. And so it was supposed to be this great thing, but a lot of stuff came up, and I'm thankful. Things that came up for me that was holding me back, that I didn't even know was holding me back. I mean, you just never know. Life is a continual initiation. It's a continual journey. So stuff came up from my childhood, stuff came up from my former marriage, stuff came up from mistakes I thought I made in my parenting, all of these things. So if y'all, and some of you I know because we've talked about this, felt like that in the pause, it was just an opportunity to clarify and keep going. Clarify and keep going. And so I'm thankful that it came up then and not in the embodiment phase, because you really don't want that to hit you in embodiment. Some people are struggling with that right now. Embodiment, right? You've done the work. Now let's walk it out. What did you say you wanted to do? Let's go. Free yourself and let's go. Because it's really a change in identity, right? So for myself, for me, I did not have the identity of a business owner that had a community of women that she served on the daily. No, that's not what I had. My identity was I would sit in meetings, take down what I thought my clients needed, create a strategy, discuss it with them, implement and go. That identity had to leave. And so in embodiment, I'm getting the opportunity to walk that out. So what does that mean for me? And I'm giving you examples of myself. Be thinking about yourself, embodiment or pause or balance, any of those areas of Business Boost. So I had to switch gears in the way I serve. I had to enroll my clients to not just come and drop stuff on me to do, but to take ownership that we are a team. So I would say that, no, we're a team, we're going to work together, I'll be here for you. I would say that. But in reality, what I was doing was all the work. All the work. So I see this amazingness in you. You said what you want to do. Let's go. I got you. I got you. And so I would create these things according to what they said they wanted to do. But because they hadn't done that inner work, it was almost a waste. Do y'all know how much time I have spent on brand audits, on intellectual property strategies, on, I mean, a lot. Why? Because the client wasn't there yet. We all do it. We say we want to do this thing. I want to do this thing. I want to give this thing to the world, or this is the kind of lifestyle I want to have. We say it, and then when the time comes, if we didn't stretch ourselves, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'm thankful that I was able to stretch myself and my business to the point of not like jumping in trying to save my clients all the time. Oh, it's okay, I'll do it. Oh, it's okay, I'll do it. Because it was really hindering them from the inner work they need to do to grow and become a woman that could carry that thing, right, that she said she wanted. So that's me. What y'all got going on? What y'all got going on? Okay, I will call people out, but I'll be kind enough not to use names, right? So some of you all have been a little ambitious, and I love ambition. I'm behind you on that. Extremely ambitious. And so what it did for you, I'll give an example. We have an amazing woman in the group that is launching a television show. We have another business that is launching a spa. Uh, I'll just stop at those two because just for the interest of time. Right. So even though we sat down at the beginning, did the audit, where do you want to go? What do you want to do with this? Y'all saw along the journey that you got to a point where you need to pivot. So at the beginning of Business Boost, I just broke the four sections down to you. Right towards before you get into celebrations, but in between embodiment and celebration, there are opportunities to pivot. So when I tell y'all this last week, y'all been pivoting like crazy. Oh, I was gonna open my brick and mortar at this time. I think we need to push it to second quarter 2026 because this is going on. And I love it, right? Oh, I wanted to, in my show, right? I was inviting people to experts to come speak on my show. And I'm giving you examples. And I realize I can invite more than one person per episode. That's a pivot. So these may seem like simple, for those of you that aren't working in those businesses, they may seem like simple pivots. But for something so structurally important for your business, like how many guests you're going to have or when you're going to open your brick and mortar, there's a whole foundation that has to shift to support that new direction you're going in. Right. Then we have someone else in our group. She's super, super amazing, juggling all the balls, right? Um, in the middle of relaunching her for-profit, rebrand everything, as well as a nonprofit. Stuff came out of the blue. Stuff that she needed to work on came out of the blue, the literal blue, and had to pivot. Like, okay. Let's work on generating revenue over here. Let's work on getting a grants writer here. Let's work on all these things so that these are the actual goals that we meet, and then we can actually celebrate. All right. So just think about where you are, whether you're on that business boost journey with me or you're on your own, be thinking about where you are. Do not let the clock strike midnight on December 31st and you do not have clarity, please reach out to me. If you're not a part of Business Boost already, I can give you some tools and resources to help you. Um, and if you're part of Business Boost, listen, this week, get in there, okay? Y'all need to be texting me, emailing me, blowing up my calendar, because that's it. This is the week. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you. I'm so super proud of you. I'm super proud of the few that I mentioned that did pivot. Why am I proud? Because I don't look at it as you didn't keep uh your promise to yourself. That's not how I look at it. I look at it as, oh wow, your willingness to say, this is okay. This is okay. This is something I'm creating, and I have the ability, the power to mold it in a way that suits me. Do you know how amazing that was for me to watch that for you? Because before, I was running my business a little differently, maybe a little bit more my masculine than I need to be, and not allowing for the flexibility. And this is what we're doing. This is the project. And without that inner work that's required in Business Boost, y'all do it on your own. You don't necessarily do it with me, but you're doing this work. It allows you to say, this is this thing, but this thing is not me. That means even if something fails perfectly inexplicably, it's like, oh, create something again. Oh, I have another month left to the year. What can we do? And that was amazing for me to watch because I had never seen that before. I've read about it, I hoped and prayed for it, but I'm telling you, you are living out my dream. You are, because this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to see. So thank you for sharing your journey with me. And I just appreciate it. So I already told you about me and my fourth quarter, and I talked about uh some of my clients, right? And so right now we're going to switch gears a little bit and pull up the Business Boost workbook and do a recap. This is a recap. Why? Because I just gave you a journey of what Business Boost has been like for me, for y'all that are already enrolled in Business Boost and working with me on a daily, as well as if you're new and you don't know what the heck Business Boost is, we're just going to walk through it quickly, like no more than a couple minutes. All right, so give me a chance to pull that up. We can pop through there. And if you're already part of Business Boost, pull up your own workbook. Y'all have this workbook. And if you want this workbook, y'all need to get with Fam Fave. All right, so quickly, Business Boost, we shared three essential tools to boost your business so that you can exhale with ease and joy. Right. So I'm going to go through here quickly just to give you the okay. Day one. These are the questions that we asked ourselves to get some clarity. This is all about casting your vision. These four questions, how did your business change your life? Things like that. You can go shallow or you can go deep, right? You can decide how far you want to go with this work. But in that day one, right, we went into all of this, absolutely all of this, intuitive check-in. And so whether you were with us on the 4-day intensive when I first shared this workbook, or if you were walking with me over these last 90 days, and some people a little bit more than that, this is what you had to go through. Just clarifying questions. What are your inspirations, brand identity? And so then in day two, you got your blueprint. Why? Because you clarified, you cast your vision, and so then we created a blueprint for you. You sat with me one-on-one and created a blueprint for what you said you wanted to do. If you did not sit with me, you still had a day two. Like if you did the what's it called? Self-study, you still had a day two, right? Where you were putting your own blueprint together. And we talked about asset insulation, business strategy, and estate plan. Okay, these are the three things. Sorry here. Asset insulation, business strategy, and estate plan. And that's what we're covering in the roundup. Those three. Those are the top three. So I'm not going to go through this entire workbook. I just want to remind you of some of the things that we already covered. Because then in day three, like after you decided what you wanted to work on, asset insulation, business strategy, or estate plan, and some of y'all combined a couple of these or all of them, like I said, ambitious. Then we went into day three where we customized the blueprint to fit you in your life. Okay? So if you were a part of Business Boost, the 4-day intensive, or if you did the Business Boost next 90 journey with me, you know what this is all about. If you are new, I just wanted to pull up the workbook so you wouldn't be too lost. Just explaining Business Boost, right? I hope y'all got it. Three things: business strategy, asset insulation, and estate planning. And they overlap. You need them all. You can't have one without the other. But sometimes I like to work on one at a time, then layer it. But you need all of this. Right. So that's pretty much the recap from Business Boost. And that should give you a backdrop of what Business Boost has been about, as well as an understanding why today we're talking about trust, using trust for superior asset insulation, right? So those are the three: business strategy, asset insulation, and estate planning. And watch us wrap them all together. Because like think about it, when we're doing intellectual property, we're talking about asset insulation, right? So talking about trust, asset insulation. It all works together. I want your assets covered. All right, so name some types of trust, because that's what we're talking about today specifically. Name some trusts. Put your thoughts in the chat. Like, what are the types of trusts out there? I just want to, and if you're already part of Business Boost and you know, let some other people get a chance to try. Okay. What do we have over there? Um, Living. Okay. Uh, Family legacy. Okay, that is a type of trust. What else do you have there? What else are y'all putting in there? Let me see. Testamentary, yes. Limited, okay. All right, all right. All right, so you're kind of there. And for those that aren't there at all, and this is your first time learning about trust, let's see what we hear what your colleagues have shared, right? But let's see what Merriam-Webster says about the word trust. Trust is assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. So, on one hand, we're talking about a legal instrument, right? But on the other hand, think about the word that was chosen for this particular instrument. Just think about that. Assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. Merriam-Webster also says it's a fiduciary relationship in which legal title to someone's property or money is held by another person or entity for the benefit of another, right? Another definition is a property interest held by one person for the benefit of another. And remember, I try to mention this as often as I can, that the word person, when it comes to legal jargon, person is different from individual. So a person is created every time a business is formed, right? So a business can be a legal person. Keep that in mind. A trust is an entity or can be an entity that results from the creation of a trust. A combination of entities. Ooh, combination of entities formed by a legal agreement. Okay, now we're getting where I need y'all to pay attention. I need you to lead into entities because if you're here, right, you have an entity. If you're here and you don't have an entity, you're getting one. Hopefully before the year ends out. Okay. So be thinking about how you can move as a legal person, but not necessarily as a vulnerable individual out there. All right. So what's the opposite of the word trust? Go ahead, drop it in the chat. Anybody got ideas? What's the opposite of trust? The word trust. Somebody say fear, insecurity. Ooh, that's good. Because we just talked about a secured instrument. Okay. Distrust. The opposite of the word trust is distrust. So when we talk about using a trust for superior asset insulation, we're not just talking about the legal instrument, a trust. We're talking about the essence of the word. All right, so when we come to the topic or going a little deeper in terms of asset insulation, I want y'all to be thinking, we're gonna put trust to the side just to get clear on assets. I need y'all to be thinking about what an asset is because there's no value to creating a trust if you don't even know what counts as an asset, right? So you got real property, intellectual property, financial assets. So a lot of times when people think of asset, they're immediately going to be talking about the real estate. Okay, so real estate, maybe they're talking about cars, houses, um, uh, land, all those types of things. I need you to also be thinking about intellectual property. That needs protection. Your copyrights, your patents, trademarks, trade secret protocols, all of those things. trade dress, anything that has to do with your brand, right? And then financial assets. I don't need to say a lot about that because y'all already know. But here's some common examples of assets. You got real estate, valuable personal property. It could be heirloom jewelry. It could be vintage furniture. Think of that, those kind of things that are really valuable. Be stocks and investments. These are assets, right? Cash and bank accounts, businesses, your business is an asset, vehicles, boats, cars, motorcycles, planes. Listen, I need to have an asset called planes. Life insurance policies, all of those. Be thinking about those as assets. Write that down. Think about it. You could just go back to this one here, real property, intellectual property, and financial assets. Just using those three categories, be making lists. Be making lists. That's what we talked about in Business Boost during that 4-day intensive. So we're just doing a deeper dive here, really. So now that we know what assets are, now let's talk about using a trust as an asset insulation tool. And not just knowing that the tool is there, knowing the type that fits your lifestyle. And now, if you weren't taking notes, you got to be taking notes now. Like for real, there's so many types of trust. There's so many types of trust. Uh, Over a dozen off the top of my head. I didn't even put all of them in here. I just stopped for this presentation, just the ones I knew off the top of my head, right? So here we go. You got revocable living, irrevocable living. You got joint, bypass, QTIP, special needs trust, asset protection trust, generation skipping trust, charitable trust, Totten trust, blind trust, constructive trust, spendthrift trust, life insurance trust, qualified personal residence trust, pet trust, and counting. And I put pet sort of at the end because sometimes, at least in my field, stuff will just come across my desk where somebody they passed on and they had all this stuff in their trust for their pet. I kid you not, there is a pet trust. So here we go again. Irrevocable trust, which is living, revocable living, joint bypass, QTIP, special needs, right? Sometimes people create that if they have a child or a loved one that needs maybe different kind of alternative health care. So sometimes we think of special needs. Um, when it comes to maybe developmentally challenged individuals or children, but also, a special needs could be like, okay, my insurance is not gonna, or their insurance is not gonna cover, I would say, my insurance isn't gonna cover acupuncture, right? My special needs trust can cover that for me. Asset protection trust, generation skipping trust, charitable trust, Totten trust, blind trust, constructive trust, spendthrift trust, life insurance trust, qualified personal residence trust, and again, the pet trust. And as a quick PSA, what's the difference? Do y'all know the difference between a will and a trust? Because they're different. People come to me all the time on this estate planning mindset, and they tell me about their will. Oh, I already have that. So I'm not 100% against wills because it's a part of their tradition, a part of our culture to have that. And I think I'm coming to understand that people like the process. It feels like something magnanimous or, something that they are doing by creating this will. There's a lot of emotional energy that goes into it. So I've stopped telling people, oh, you don't need a trust. Oh, get rid of I mean, not trust. You need a will. Get rid of your will. I'm not saying that any longer. I'm saying you just need added protection. Added protection. Also, if you designate, this is for people that are thinking about not necessarily benefiting while they're alive, but they're thinking about their heirs. Um, a will be tied up in court for years, point blank, period. Period. So think about probate. Meanwhile, if you have if you have another layer of protection, which would be a trust, you don't have to deal with that. Nobody has to deal with that. So I'm not a big fan of wills, but if I see a pretty good one drafted, I'll just make the suggestion that we add a trust to go along with it. All right, so that's my little PSA. Do not think the will is the end all be all because it's not. Do not believe me? Go look it up. Get started on your own research. And I say this particularly for my older clients that are seeing trust as this new alternative thing, and it's not. People have been using it for years. Maybe just not people in your circle. All right. So that's my PSA on wills versus a trust. And just look, we're gonna talk about that. There are two main categories. What are the two main categories? Somebody had mentioned earlier when I was saying what are the different types of trust. They said the two before we got into the Fit 11 trust. But we got into that longer list. People were putting the two main categories in the chat to me. Um, and so some of y'all already know. Like I said, there's over a dozen trusts, but there are two main categories. Living and testamentary. Hmm. So, living trust, also called an inter vivos trust, and I like to throw that in there for those of you that want some legal jargon. You want to feel like you know some things. You can call it an inter vivos trust. This trust is created during the lifetime of the person, the settler, right? This allows management of the assets while alive. And you have the testamentary, kind of the word kind of gives you a clue that it's created by a will, right? So in the will, it will direct what happens to the assets. And this takes effect after death, but it doesn't block probate. And probate meaning probate court, meaning having your assets tied up in court for years, waiting for a process, a procedure, waiting for a judge to say that a will is valid and all that. That's probate. This type of trust does not block probate. And assets, cash, investments, intellectual property, real estate, they're all subject to lengthy court proceedings, and inheritance are reduced by the fees, court filing fees, receivership fees, attorney fees. So if you have, let me use something, let's say if you have $1 million in cash, let's use cash, that's easy, right? If you have $1 million in cash and your will says exactly where this money's to go. I want 500,000 to go to this corporation that may be a charity. I want 200,000 to go to my church. The remaining 300,000, right? The remaining 300,000 I want to go to my children or my nieces and nephews. All right, there you've already written down what's going to happen to the cash. It doesn't work like that. What's going to happen is the will gets filed in court. The will has to be deemed valid, like, checking the signature, right? And you have to have several witnesses to say that the signature is valid. You're going to go through an entire process. Then after that, let's say the will is good, right? After that, now we have to decide, your heirs have to prove that they're your heirs. You have to have a kinship hearing. Okay, every time you go to court is costing money. Every time you file a document in court is costing money. And in many states, including New York, the filing fee, the filing fees are based on how much the estate is worth. So if your estate is over, like I said, the $1 million one I just did, or even $500,000 one. It could be not a huge estate, but the filing fees are going to start at $1,200 just to get the thing in the court to drag you out for years to see what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, best case scenario, it's going to take years to get out of court. Worst case scenario is maybe your wishes won't be um, honored. Because then people can contest it. Somebody can come out the woodwork and be like, hey, she was suffering with dementia. That wasn't right. That wasn't right. She didn't sign that in her right mind. Somebody can come out of the blue and say that and and drag out the proceeding. What's another thing that I've seen happen often? Creditors. Wait a second now, you didn't pay this last credit card bill, and now we got all this extra interest that we've applied, right? So that's different because once you file it in court, it becomes a public circus almost. It becomes public. Meanwhile, a trust is nice and quiet, nobody knows, it's your business. So I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but I want y'all to know that even if you have a will, please be having a trust in place to give you that added, just some added protections so that you can move things along faster as opposed to having your life held up by a court system. And again, we're talking about the testamentary trust. Okay, so what are the two? Living trust and testamentary trust. So you have the inter vivos, created during the life, permits management of assets while alive, and then you have the one that is created by will afterwards. And so obviously I prefer the one you can create right now because you're going to be able to have access to assets while you're alive. You're going to be able to grow assets, do a whole lot of stuff, and not have any of those assets in your individual name. That's what I'm always going for. And remember, testamentary just does not block probate. So out of these two, I like the living trust. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But then of the two, there's still a revocable and irrevocable trust. So even within the living will, living trust side of things, we got to talk about revocable and irrevocable. So revocable, I mean, the words are kind of obvious what they mean, right? You can change at your discretion. You can make amendments to it. Oh, I don't like that now. Let's change that. When it's irrevocable, you can't change it at all. It can't be altered. But there's tax benefits, savings, and a whole lot of greater protection you would have with the irrevocable trust. If you are thinking about trust, and this is a little bit confusing, just reach out to me and we can find out which one fits you best. I don't want to try to be giving out legal advice because of people are using the Q&A section, and I can't give out legal advice, and I don't want to say something that might be confusing to someone else or something that will totally fit your circumstance, and then somebody else sitting here watching thinks that it applies to them. So I'm just giving you the basic information so you can make the decision for yourself or make the decision to sit with me and create a strategy that works for you. All right, so who is this revocable trust for? It is for you if you want to personally control your estate plan. That's who it's for, the revocable one, because that's the one you can switch up, right? The irrevocable one is you want asset protection from creditors and reduction in taxes. So you know right away, that's the one I'm all for. That's the one I'm biased with this stuff. Like I said, I have been practicing law for quite a time, right? And I have my bias. So you listen, whatever you desire, what's that? Was that Beyonce? Whatever you desire, I aspire. I'll support you as long as it's legal, but I'm going to be leaning towards this irrevocable for you. If you coming to me, just already know that's what I'm thinking. If you do not want to do that, I trust your intuition, of course. But I'm just letting you know right now, that's what's up. So, in spite of the millions, seemingly millions types of trusts that are out there, suppose you choose the one that fits you, and you're like, okay, I know I need this kind of trust, and I know why I need this kind of trust. Help me set that up. I want to have an entity as a trustee. That way, all the things, right? So when is the right time to do it? I'm like, listen, if you're questioning about it, if you're here, that means you're wondering about it. Your intuition might be already telling you that now is the time you need to set that up. Your intuition might be already telling you that. We don't have a lot, we didn't have a lot of registrations for this because a lot of people aren't ready for it. But if you're here, if you're watching this right now, and if you're blowing up the chat and trying to connect with me, your intuition is talking to you. At least let's have the conversation. So when's the right time? If you have a strong intuition, and as soon as you even start thinking about a trust, we just need to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Or maybe you don't need to have a conversation with me. Do some research on your own and you can figure it out. I'm telling you, don't get lost in the legal world. There is help. That's the point. I'm just giving you some information because I don't like when people come to me having acted without information. And that happens a lot. It happens a lot. Let me tell you another little quick story time. I have a client. Listen, I'm going to talk about one client, but I need y'all to know that it applies to several clients. Brilliant women, highly educated, a whole lot of experience, completely successful in business for years. Out there being led off the led off the cliff. Why? Because they're working with somebody that is not giving them education and the information so they can make an empowered decision from their intuition. You hear what I'm saying? They're not educated, they don't have the information, and they're making decisions that are not empowered. I was sitting with someone this week. I'm like, well, why did you do that? I don't know. He just said sign. Lady, you are absolutely brilliant. Ladies, all y'all, because if you're here, I either know you or you know somebody I know, right? You're brilliant. Do not be signing stuff and going along with stuff. I don't dictate what y'all do or what you want to do with your life, with your business, with your family. We have the conversations, but I want you to own the decision. Or you're going to be like some of the women that come to me after signing st and paying a lot of money for things. I'm like, okay, so you pay this money, you hire this person. Oh yeah, that's taken care of. Do. You know me. I do my research. I'm all up in the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I see your trademark nowhere. Oh wait, I see a trademark, the one that you say you owned by the attorney that you hired, and they put somebody else owning it. I see that with copyright. Or, oh, I filed this. There's no, it's not in the court. I was sitting with someone, not this week, not last week, maybe the week before. Oh, this is what's going on with my mother's estate, and there's this property, da 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 da, and this is what's happening. I'm like, how long has this been going on? Oh, it actually started in 2010, right? Because so that's, I won't say reasonable, but that wasn't far-fetched because these probate things last forever. But here's the worst part. That thing was never filed in court. That will was never filed in court. There's nothing going on in court. You gave people your money, you signed stuff, and you don't know what's going on. That's why you gotta come to these webinars. I'm trying to, what did the kids say? I'm trying to put y'all on game. I'm trying to put y'all on game. You know what's going on. Make a powered decision. You cannot be running these businesses the way you are, creating the intellectual property that you do, writing books, at y'all big old grown age, right? You cannot do it. Don't be doing it. Watch the webinar, do your research. You do not even have to work with me, but don't be signing stuff and paying for stuff that you don't understand. Your intuition is golden. That's the seed of your soul. That's the call. Like there's a text to say, be still and know. You gotta be still. Do not let these, oh, well, he said, and I, no, because you know what? We're supposed to be stewards to the gift that God gave us. First of all, we have to be stewards of that. So I don't care what he said or he said or he said, because it's usually a he or a masculine she. That doesn't honor your own intuition and your own relationship with the Most High. But that's not their job. That's your job. You have to honor that. And I'm sorry, I get so frustrated because I hate it for you. I hate when a client comes to me and they tell me, oh, I'm good. I said, what about your trademark? Oh, I'm good on that. That was already taken care of. I'm glad I don't take y'all word. I just take it on faith because I always do my research. I'm going to spend hours doing my research to verify what you think happened. And it's just painful for me sometimes. Hence why I decided to go in another direction with my practice, which is about women making empowered, educated decisions in their life, in their lifestyle, and in their business. Right, because it just breaks my heart. Oh, he said I had to pay $4,200 for this, or I had to pay $10,000 for this. I'm like, what was that for? Oh, there was an $1,800 filing fee. Da-da-da. Okay, that filing fee is $42. Ma'am, let me get off my soapbox. One of my soapboxes. One of my soapboxes. I just want you to make empowered decisions. That's why I said, I'm giving you a lot of information, but there is help. You don't have to be out here by yourself. And when I say help, that does not mean there is somebody telling you what to do. I never do that. But I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to hold your hand so you can get it done and decide and be able to stand on it. Like, okay, I decided this. That's a different level of confidence versus he told me, right? So today I'm offering to everyone who registered a complimentary estate or asset installation assessment. And I say estate or asset installation, it's really the same thing. How do you need to insulate your assets, right? It's the same thing. So people with the mindset of estate planning, they're usually thinking, oh, wait, what if something happens to me? Will my children be okay? Or if something happens to me, will my business be okay? That's the estate planning mindset. The asset installation people, they're not really thinking about something will happen to me. And that's kind of, like we get to a certain age and we start thinking about our mortality, like every time we get on a plane or something like that, right? Y'all are my estate planning people. Or maybe you've had some health challenges. Y'all are my estate planning people. Then you have people that aren't even thinking about that and all about like, hey, how can I insulate these assets? It's the same conversation, but I'm just using different language for those of you that need to hear it that way. It's the same conversation. So I'm offering a complimentary session. And I wanted to put that out there. I'll share a little bit more about that in a second, but these are the takeaways. The key takeaways that I wanted you to get today is why establishing a trust is crucial for every serious businesswoman, every serious woman, right? You may not even realize you're in business. So being a woman is a business. That's an inside joke. If you know, you know. But being a woman is a business. The way we have to carry ourselves in the world, the things we have to accomplish and take care of. So if you are a woman, I need you to be thinking about establishing a trust, why that's crucial for you. And also what type of trust fits your business and lifestyle. What type of trust? There's so many. So I gave you a bunch to think about. And then when is the right time to fund your trust? I say, when is the right time to fund your trust? Because I'm going to take the mindset that you are already ready to create it. And so when do you fund it? And funding it, what that means for those of you that may not have never done this before, if you've never done this before, um, funding a trust is basically transferring your assets into the trust out of your individual name into the name of another person. I remember a legal person can be a business. Read between the lines, read between the lines, read between the lines, and schedule a session with me. This is a complimentary session that I'm gifting to everyone that registered today. Okay, those are the three takeaways that I wanted to share with you. So I'm offering this opportunity to just talk with me, right? In this complimentary assessment, you will get insight and recommendations, right? I give you recommendations, but you decide. Recommendations on whether now it's time to start planning a trust, recommendations on what type of trust fits your lifestyle. And it's for everyone here today, but especially if you have a will and want the added benefits of a trust, or, you're just looking for a tool to insulate your personal and business assets. So I don't work with everybody. If you work with me, you know I am a little snobby when it comes to energy. I like high energy women that are ready to go, right? Not that we don't all hit bumps, but women that are just committed to some things, women that are ready for next level strategies. Because that's what it is. When you book a session with me, we're going to have conversations you've never had with anybody, period. And definitely not another attorney. You're just not, it's just different. We do stuff different. Women do business different anyway, but it's different. So these are next level strategies. Um, if you're ready for, just looking at the value of the assets you have and saying, okay, this needs some sort of protection. If you are ready to release fear, or you are already in the process of releasing fear, which is a lifetime journey. Every time my thing was good and I go through Business Boost with y'all, something else comes up. But especially if you're ready to leverage the same cheat codes used by men, okay? I mean, if you know my story, my journey, as I came up in a Manhattan firm right out of law school, right? No woman, all white men, all old white men. So when I tell you I got the cheat codes, I got the cheat codes. If you're ready for the cheat, think about it. They were created not necessarily for us, but we can certainly and legally leverage them. So, if you're interested in that at any and at all, be thinking about this complimentary session that I'm gifting y'all with, right? And if you already know, listen, sis, I'm ready to go. I want to know what this Business Boost is all about. Or maybe you did Business Boost with me and you're like, I need a refresher. There you go. This is the what do you call it? DIY Business Boost. It's only 197. Okay. And if you feel like you want to work with me for an entire season, it's 36.50. Join. Just go ahead and click there. Now, I want to say that Business Boost is not opening up until the new year. So I'm still working with my fourth quarter ladies. We got another week, maybe a week and a half. But if you know you're interested in doing Business Boost in 2026 and you're not doing it now or you want to gift it to a friend, now's the perfect time to do it because when 2026 rolls around, it will not be 36.50. Okay, that number's going way up. Um, so just think about that. Just think about it. Like I said, there's some basic requirements to work with us. You got to be committed to personal development. That's it. That's it. I can teach you everything else. You can learn everything else. You can read everything. I cannot teach you to desire personal expansion. You got to come with that. But when you come, list what you're going to get. You're going to get complete corporate counsel. You're going to get business advising. You're going to get brand protection. You're going to get a fully established legal team. You are going to have a strategy partner with you every step of the way. Okay. This is my life purpose. That's why I can give so much. So that's it. Let's do a quick review for insulating your asses. I gave an introduction to who I am for those that are new and not familiar with me. You got to be a special lady to be in this group. I am not your typical attorney, so I had to give you all of me so you can decide if you want to stay. We talked about the different types of trusts. We talked about choosing the right trust that fits your lifestyle. And then, your trustee and your beneficiaries, like protecting them, empowering your trustee, protecting your beneficiaries. And here's the thing I didn't say. And that is you can make yourself a beneficiary. Just putting it out there, just sharing. So you get a complimentary assessment, and become a Dream Lawyer's family favorite. Well, SemiLaw.com/fan fave. Text I'm in 646-859-3915. Those are two ways. Either go on to the website, WhatSemiLaw.com/fan fave, or text I'm in to 646-859-3915, and we will set you up. We will set you up. And that's it. Let me check the chat to see if there are any questions. I think we covered everything as we were going along the way. Oh, somebody wants me to put the QR code back up. Okay, let's see if I can do that. Ah, ah. Okay, okay. I'm proud of myself today. Uh-oh. Okay, so if you want to do the DIY, it's what just happened? It's 197 for the DIY Business Boost. This is self-guided prep for 2026, right? So I would suggest that even if you did sign up for Business Boost before, and you've been doing this journey with me, this is something fun to do in your in between time. This is something fun you can do on a weekend, just like to um, re-energize yourself going into 2026. And if you did not do Business Boost with me, either the 4-day intensive or the full quarter journey, you definitely need this because this is something you can do right now just to get yourself going. And if you are committed for sure, you need Business Boost for 2026, go ahead and sign up for Business Boost Total. So those are the two the two QR codes. This is for the self study, 197 for self study. And you can start that right now to prepare for 2026. And then Business Boost Total, which is full for 2026. Now, if you go ahead and purchase this one here, 3650, we'll go ahead and give you, um, I'm just checking. We'll go ahead and give you the self-study one, the 197. I just thought of that right now. I just thought of that right now. See the kind of value we give over here? Yeah, if you purchase 3650 to help you launch your 2026 Business Boost, we'll go ahead and throw in the a self-study. I feel I can comfortably do that for free. Um, and for you that are already part of Business Boost, go ahead and consider the self-study, just something to keep you sharp. We're going into another section of holidays, December holidays, January holidays. And so Business Boost is something that will keep you sharp in the meantime. All right. So that's it. Thank you for your time and your attention and your love. And I'm so thankful just for the opportunity to be living out my purpose and just having these conversations with you. Remember, asset installation at its finest begins with the trust. All right. And I'll see you next time.